I'd like to call the meeting to order and have a roll call, please.
Butcher,
Here.
Harold,
Here,
Irons,
absent with prior notice.
Livia Wright,
Here.
Moore.
Here.
I'd like to welcome you all out tonight and ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. We are going to get started and try and get through this a little quickly because we have some students that need to get out to a bonfire at Falcon. So we will start with 3.0, approval of agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Second.
It's your job.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, a vote, please.
Butcher,
Aye.
Harold,
Aye.
Livia Wright,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion carries. 4.0 consent agenda. Does anyone have an item that they would like pulled from the consent agenda? A motion, please.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, a vote, please.
Butcher,
Aye.
Harold,
Aye.
Livia Wright,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion carries. 5.0 board update. David, anything? Mary?
No, I don't have anything.
Just nice to be back in this room. Thank you, Jack, and your team. Fresh carpet. It smells a little better than it did a few weeks ago.
Just to give you a logistical update, obviously you can see that we have new carpet, but also, we've actually reconfigured it with a little bit of input from fellow chiefs. We've been able to restructure it. Had a couple of logistical issues that we're still working through. Really, what our intent is the table that you see over here is really going to be the future chiefs table, and then we'll reconfigure that a little bit. But we now have the monitor. I actually see that we have it live, which I'm kind of surprised. Figured out a way to get that done. Brett's got it hardwired to his laptop, so it'll work. But it will actually provide us a little bit better structure for the future of how we're going to be doing our business within the port. So.
Well, it's October, which means October Count is happening. So that is a month-long process, even though it used to be called October 1 Count, as in a literal day, but it's really a window now. And we, even after that window is closed, then we have to spend a lot of time scrubbing through each student by student, looking at their schedules, even to know whether they count full-time and part-time and things like that. So it's quite a long exercise, but it's a good first significant statistical marker for this school year in terms of how the financials will play out in the amended budget. So that's it.
Very excited to be back. Thank you to Jack and his team and the providers that they found. Did a great job getting us back here. I continue to do my extended school visits. So those are usually 2.5 hours in schools, mostly with teachers. This semester is my emphasis. And this is a great place to be. There's a lot of good things going on at the teacher level. And you hear about those in Fantastic 49. But I wanted to tell you as a board, the degree of clarity and stability is making a difference for our teachers. They appreciate that. They're recognizing how far we've come, and so I just wanted to reflect that back to you, because I know you don't always hear how much the teachers appreciate the stability that you are providing. I'm also very excited, but I'll save it for the agenda item, to have some students here to talk about the Student Board of Representatives, and that was also part of our redesign, was anticipating that you would probably approve the thing that you asked us to do. So we'll see how that goes a little bit later, but we did design with that in mind.
And I would like to thank all of our Boy Scouts for being here. And I hope you enjoy our meeting. We will try to not make it too boring for you. So next up is going to be our open forum. and I think some people have signed up, so I'm going to read this little statement about our open forum. We appreciate and welcome comments on district operations and programs in District 49 as part of tonight's open forum. Please speak into the microphone and state your name before beginning. We ask that your comments be made in a respectful and orderly manner. Personal complaints against an individual connected with the school district are prohibited. Follow-up action items may be assigned to the appropriate chief officer depending on the nature of the comments. In accordance with board policy BEDH, public participation is limited to 3 minutes per person, and we thank you for participating in our open forum. So first up is Stacy Hanu. Hope I have that right.
Good evening. I'm Stacy Hanno. I'm the parent to Tegan Hanno. I would like to bring to the board's attention some incidents and requests regarding my daughter's ability to obtain a great education, all while accommodating her disease. Back on August 3rd, I spoke to someone at Remington, making her aware of Tegan's allergy. She said that she would create a note that would flag the system. On September 9th, I got a call at 12:15 stating that Tegan had vomited severely and that she was in the clinic with a fever. Upon getting her home, I immediately checked her temperature and it was 98.6. My daughter stated that her tummy was hurting really bad. After speaking with Tegan, she stated that she was fed pizza at school. On September 10th, I spoke to the same individual from August 3rd, and she admitted that she had forgotten to create the flag in the system and that she would do it while I was on the phone. I spoke to the principal requesting a 504 plan for my daughter and brought about the awareness of the incident. Presently, a 504 plan is still not in place. I packed Tegan's lunch on September 29th and October 1st, and both days lunch came back home untouched, and she stated she had pizza and chili mac. By the evening of October 1st, my daughter refused to eat dinner and had complaints of severe stomach pain, was in and out of the bathroom, which was very unpleasant. The complaints from Tegan continued until October 4th. She refused to eat for 3 days, and due to the pain associated with consuming gluten. And as a result, she was absent from school on October 2nd. I have been on the phone with Nutrition Services asking why my daughter is not being accommodated based on her disease and medical requirement for a gluten-free diet. In response to follow-up, I quote, "We do not recognize gluten as an allergy, let alone a life-threatening one at that. So I do not foresee any changes being made in the future. If not treated correctly, celiac disease will in fact lead to malnutrition, stunted growth, and the list continues. Malnutrition alone will lead to hospitalization, resulting in my daughter not getting an education that she has a right to obtain and deserves just as any other student. I find it highly unacceptable for this incident involving an allergy to be overlooked. As a medical professional myself, I would lose my license and risk being sued. As a parent, I am simply asking for my daughter's diet to be accommodated since she is on the free lunch program. The requirements to be on a very restrictive diet does in fact alter a major life event. I definitely feel that my daughter has been discriminated against, and the importance of this restricted diet is being ignored and taken very lightly. This is not a fad diet for our family. My daughter's life depends on this. Medically, on this restricted diet, and I greatly appreciate if the district would link hands with my family and support us. My requests are this: training for the district on celiac disease, fully accommodation of my daughter's diet, and linking hands supporting my family while we too make the very difficult transition to include patience, grace, and understanding, as this still is very new to our family. She was diagnosed in February this year. There are steps that our entire family is progressively making to help her be sufficient in identifying her safe foods, and I expect the school's help as well. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to this partnership so we can ensure that Tegan gets a great education. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to turn that issue over to you guys to address at a later meeting unless you're.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I wasn't aware of the issue. So what I'll do is, with Monica being out of the office for a few days, when she gets back from from where she's in Manhattan today, tomorrow, Kansas. So when she gets back next week and I get back from school, I'll get an opportunity to visit with her and I'll bring her.
Next up is Michelle Gibson.
So, my name is Michelle Gibson. I am a teacher at Vista Ridge High School. And there's something pretty awesome happening there for our juniors. A counselor, his name is Chad Cosner, has started developing an ACT prep program. And he has basically created this opportunity for juniors to take this program in place of a study hall or an open class period, so that they get the opportunity to raise their ACT scores. Right now, the students that have signed up, there's about 81 students that are very interested in taking this course. Their scores range from a 19.3 to a 22.6, and the state average for ACT is around a 19.8. And this course offers students with the ability to take their ACT score of a 19-20 and raise it to something more like a 28 or a 32. And students that have a 22-24 ACT score get letters in the mail like, we think you're pretty cool. We saw your ACT score. We would like you to come to our campus. Students with a 32-34 ACT score have letters more like, we think you're awesome. Here's $60,000 to come to our school. And it's an amazing opportunity for these juniors in order to take this class. That it allows them the ability to go to school without having to worry about funding or getting student loans. It allows our district to be seen as a district that produces students who have scores higher than the state average. It's just a fantastic opportunity that allows these kids great things. Upon hearing of this information, I talked to Chad Cosner and my principal myself and said that I volunteer personally to give up one of my planning periods voluntarily, so unpaid, in order to teach our juniors this course, because I think that it is so powerful that they have this opportunity. And I also think that it would break my heart if one of these juniors got turned away and were prevented from taking this course and going to a school where they aren't getting funded and where they have to get buried in student loans, as I know personally is very hard. And then also on the English level, because I'm an English teacher, we have been talking about moving to semester-long courses. And we've talked about actually offering an ACT course as a legitimate course for our students starting next year. So first semester, they will be talking about American Lit, and then next semester, if they choose to, they can take an ACT prep class where they do things like take prep tests, and they talk about study skills and habits and just how they can get those scores up to a place where they get offered money to go to schools.
So what can we do to help?
The principals are plotting and planning to come to you to talk to you, and the principals are all the secondary principals, so I don't want to steal their thunder, but they're going to come and talk to you about making the ACT in our secondary schools and our high schools particularly as important as we have made third grade primary literacy in the elementaries. And so it's not only because she's my son's teacher, but I also want to compliment Michelle, because this is one of the things that Bruce Gross, the principal at Vista, was so excited about. Was he said, when you have a program that's so compelling that teachers volunteer their time, you know you've hit on something really powerful. And so you will be hearing quite a bit more with some specifics about how you can support. I don't believe at this point we're not planning to ask for any funding because there are other things going on district-wide at the budget level. But in the future, you're probably going to hear us come to you with this kind of course as a priority in our secondary level.
Thank you very much. Well done.
Okay, next up is our action items. So we will get started with 7.01, approval of accreditation of schools. Motion.
I move to accredit all District 49 schools as recommended by the administration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? I'll just say for a lot of these action items that we discussed these at the meeting, our work session that we had 2 weeks ago. So we typically go through the action items fairly quickly. And then when we start getting into our discussion items, that's when it's more interactive, just so you're aware. So that's it. A vote, please.
Butcher,
Aye.
Harold,
Aye.
Livia Wright,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion carries. 7.02, approval of district benefit plan.
I move to approve the changes in healthcare rates as recommended by the administration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Yes, there is.
Hi,
Rich.
Shannon. That's fine.
So as soon as you say that we move through the action items pretty quick, we're going to have a presentation on this one.
It's always the finance office that does this.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, I'm Shannon Hathaway, District of Risk. Give an explanation of this because we were not at the last meeting.
The mic, yeah.
Sorry, I usually talk really loud, so. So we just wanted to go through a few slides and show the board and show everyone what we were talking about doing with the insurance plan for this coming year. So as a reminder, the district is self-funded on our health insurance program. And that means that we collect all of the premiums and pay out our own claims until they get to a certain level where a stop-loss insurance takes over. So currently we have everything bundled with Cigna, which is one that you can see on there. It's major medical, preventative care, prescription, stop-loss, and wellness. And it's all administered by Cigna. So they are the ones that we pay an administration fee to do that. So we've been talking about what's the best way to be innovative, what's the best way to save some ideas with our broker. And so they suggested some ideas of going unbundled, where you take and you separate out the programs. You have your major Medicare and like this first block, your medical, your preventative care, your wellness, all with one company. Then you have your prescription. You can have your prescriptions with someone else or with them, and then your stop-loss insurance. So the pros of doing that are cost savings, cost control, so that we can see basically where the money is being spent. The problems with having it all bundled together is currently Cigna's been playing a shell game with us. So they move the funds. They hide things if your stop losses with one, your administration, if they want to look like they're giving you a discount on your administration, then there's an increase in your stop loss. It's all with the same company, so you don't really see it and get to have any control of that. So there's cost savings to going unbundled and separating it. The con would be that there could be an increased potential for but separation of benefits, so that the employee could have a different prescription card than health insurance card, and they would have to, know. Right now they just know everything is with Cigna. So there's that. Next slide. There's just a brief description of what's been happening with our Cigna renewals. They've been rising. Our initial proposal for this year was a 6% admin increase, which is just for they're paying our claims and we use their network. Besides that, everything else is separated out. So they every year have been kind of playing games with us. They wait till the very last minute to give us any kind of a deal. They're also being bought out by Anthem. I know that people have heard about a merger between the two or a buyout. It's supposed to be approved probably next year. And in this area, it's going to go to an Anthem system anyway in Colorado. So on the next slide, we kind of sum up the ideas of what we want to do to So currently, there's a little box that just shows kind of what our current plan is with Cigna. Where we want to focus is separating out the plan structure, preempting this conversion that they're going to have between Cigna and Anthem, retargeting our fund balance and keeping our aggregate stop loss, which if you don't know, aggregate stop loss is basically like an insurance that's above and beyond what your claims projection is, so that we don't, if we have a catastrophic year, we have this coverage to make sure that the fund is covered. And you know, it kind of just explains again what things led to the change. We currently have a telehealth program and it'll be included with our new program. So as a result, we want to keep our aggregate stop loss. That it was a proposal to maybe get rid of that, but we want to keep that. So we have this extra protection. Want to move our individual stop loss, that's what the ISL is, and the aggregate stop loss to its own company, Symetra, which specializes in stop loss insurance. We want to move our prescription coverage to RX benefits through Express Scripts, which, if you don't know, prescription companies, prescriptions are a huge amount of your claims, way more than you might think. And they give out rebates, and all these rebates have been going to Cigna. So if we unbundle, the district will keep those rebates. And then we'd also like to move our preventative care, major medical insurance and coverage to Anthem. They would be the ones that administer the claims, would use their network. And then we also want to keep the overall program where we have an OAP program like we do now and a health savings account like we do now. Keep both of those structures, but we would like to change the OAP deductible to $1,500. This would be the first change since we've been self-funded to that area. So we would like, the result of that would be that we would have Anthem's network, which is proven to have good care and good discounts, good networks, and we shouldn't see any network disruption for any of our employees. And then use that stop loss carrier that has that specializes in that area, and then manage our prescriptions more carefully so that we have access to them ourselves. We would pay different companies, but besides that, there shouldn't be a huge change, except for that now we're going to do a whole new open enrollment, get everybody actively engaged, paying attention to their health program again. We've had Cigna for many years. But be a change up to, and we have a good plan for open enrollment with some video links where they can watch open enrollment presentation to make sure. But overall, we would still have the same kind of structure of plan.
Shannon, can you clarify the Express Scripts, and the differences that we see in those?
Between RX benefits and Express Scripts. So Express Scripts has more than one program. I've heard that sometimes with Express Scripts you cannot use Walgreens, so that's come up as a concern. The prices that we were quoted does include Walgreens in the network, and so you can choose which network structure that you would like. And so when we set it up to include Walgreens. We could carve out Walgreens to save a little more, but it is such a popular place to get prescriptions. I don't think that we're looking at that radical, but so that question has come up. So we just wanted to clear that one up. And obviously there's a lot of TRICARE members, and you want to make sure to be careful about that. And so the plan that we're going with is not structured the same as the TRICARE program, and so we would include Walgreens.
So as you promote it, I would say make sure I would list the pharmacies so that people automatically know that, because we do have enough military connected people that when they see Express Scripts, they're going to go, oh great, we can't use, because we all kind of went through that pain if you were military dependent a couple years ago.
And luckily that came up at a previous meeting, so got to kind of get in front of that a little bit. So then on the last slide is the cost structure. So it looks, this is the top is the exact same part where we showed last year. So on the bottom is the 2016 proposed rates. There are slight increases on the employee side. There are bigger increases on the district side. We've gotten them so that they're evened out, so that the district really has no skin in the game on which plan you take. for the district, once you take the health savings account and then the district adds money to your savings account, that costs the exact same for us that it costs if you take the other plan. It shows like the increased amounts on the side and then the increased percentages of the district.
And just, just to reset again, why we're talking about this now, because we have a health savings account program, an HSA program that has income tax benefits on the individual person, which it makes it appropriate for us to have a calendar year enrollment cycle rather than a school year or a fiscal year account cycle. So most other school districts are doing this, in the summer, or when at the end of the school year. But because we're cognizant of that tax issue, is why we do it within the year. And so the timing of this, again, we apologize for not having brought this to the work session earlier, but negotiations with the insurance companies are always interesting, shall we say. And they like to wait till the last minute. And so, but we need to get this, if we're going to proceed with this, we have to basically get this approved so that we can get all the preparations made for the enrollment in November.
Does anyone have any questions? I'm sorry I didn't ask that sooner. I know it's a lot of information and just definitely ask.
Well, and this is the first year we've actually passed any of the cost increase onto employees for a while too,
For a
isn't
couple
it?
cycles. Mhm.
So, and we're not passing on the full. It looks like we're approximately splitting it in most cases.
Well, I mean, it's just down here, so it's like
So-
$10 a month for the employee on
Right.
these tiers and 15 here. So 31% of the increase is to employees, but 69.
Right. So we're still absorbing a significant amount of that cost increase and passing on as
And
small
we
of
have
an
to
amount
be
as we
still
can.
careful to continue to watch rates, and we've had some high claims, and be careful with that because we are trying to build up our fund balance to a level that it's safe. We don't want to get to the point where we're at risk or we're going to over.
Well, and our plan design, of course, has to pass muster with the Affordable Care Act, and so that's why we continue to aim for a employee-only HSA option that is zero cost, because one of the big markers on affordable care is to have an affordable plan, right? Zero is pretty affordable, so that's why.
But it can't get too.
Yeah.
Plan can't get too great because then you'll have a Cadillac tax. So you have to kind of balance it so that some of it is on the employees, because if it gets too great, the fines for that are much bigger for the district as well. So
Right.
you have to be really careful to offer great plans, but not too great.
So, right. So you're punished if you take too good of a care of your employees, in other words.
Exactly, which is really frustrating.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
see more
is
on the
this,
Affordable Care Act, yes.
my question is always, is this sustainable? I mean, let's just face it, this is high cost. So I see the percentage of it is going a little bit more to the employees this year.
Yeah,
But is it for the district sustainable, just so you were saying, with the fund balances?
exactly. That's why we present this proposal, because as we model out, you can see in the lower right-hand corner or kind of center right, you can see $8.1 million, $8.172 million as the total revenue to the fund. That's the number that we target to say that will be adequate to cover the claims costs, the administration costs, and things like that for the plan for this next year. So, if it wasn't sustainable, it would be incumbent upon us to recommend a different pricing structure, a different rate structure to do that. So that's all part of the work that we do.
Anything else? Then. a
Thank
vote,
you very
please.
much.
Thanks.
Butcher,
Aye.
Harold,
Aye.
Livia Wright,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion carries. 7.03, approval of official survey date for Impact Aid, October 27th, 2015.
I move to approve Tuesday, October 27th, 2015 as the official Impact Aid survey date for 2015-2016 school year.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, a vote, please. Okay.
To make sure everyone understands, what this is. This is Impact Aid is a federal program that allows us to get some funds related to the amount of military presence that we have in our schools and in our community. And so this survey is something that goes out to every student in the district, and it's the better participation we have and the higher results we have, then that increases the funding levels we can get in the future. So this is a 1-year lag. So the survey and the information we gather this year will affect our funding for next year. So, but we have to go through this formality of it to declare the date and to do this. So this is our first step in that process for this year.
Okay, then a vote, please.
Butcher,
Aye.
Harold,
Aye.
Livia Wright,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion carries. 7.04, action on updated student fees.
I move to approve the school student fee schedules as presented by the administration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
So you have a sheet in here with the schools, the individual schools and the fees that are being requested. And we have our zone leaders here to speak to those. We have Sand Creek Zone at Remington Elementary School, at Sand Creek Zone presenting 3 fee requests, and then Falcon Zone with a couple as well.
Just so you know, something new, it's a little distracting for me, I'm sorry, is we have this TV now that has our packet on it because that's at an angle where it used to be flat, so it's harder for some of them to see down there. So when we're looking at this, we're seeing mostly what you're seeing up there, so don't think we're seeing anything more exciting, watching a movie or anything.
Or a football game.
So is it, could each of you speak to those fee requests? Yes, please.
Julia Roark, Falcon Zone Leader. For Woodman Hills Elementary, the way I understand this, it was submitted as a $10 fee, and somehow that did not go through in the translation from one location to another the way I understand it. So that occurred in the spring. So the $10 is more accurate than $3 was very unusual to begin with. So a $3 fee. And then at Falcon Middle School, those are 2 new clubs for this year. So they are extracurricular. The Lego Club has to do, the fees for the Lego Club mostly has to do with transportation and travel for competition. And the Art Honor Society is a brand new organization for the middle school. So they do have the usual chapter dues and initial setup for that particular society at the middle school. At the high school, that is a new course for this year. Apparently it was overlooked in terms of including it in the budget in the spring, but they've combined 2 courses into a new course called Art 2. And so the fees, I think you have the list of what is included in terms of what the students need in order to complete that course successfully, but it is a brand new course. So.
And I believe the fees for the Sand Creek Zone were regarding Remington Elementary, is that correct?
That's
And-
correct.
And that is actually a fee for art, and it's a $10 for grades 1 through 5. And it breaks down actually like this. It's $2 for a daily planner, $1 for a Thursday folder, $2 for a science math unit, and $5 for art units. And it's $5 at the kindergarten level, $1 for a Thursday folder, and $4 for art. Those are art units that kind of go above and beyond.
Okay, our packet says $25.
They are not charging $25.
Okay, so we need to have that fee amended before we, oh,
So what are you saying the fee should be?
I'm saying it's $5 for K through 1, or yeah, K through 1, and then the remaining grades are $10.
Or $10? Okay.
Are the choir and guitar classes correct at 20 and 60?
Those are after-school clubs.
They're
Those are students that opt into that. That's
yeah, they're on the
after
fee
school.
schedule, just so you know.
That's it, actually. That's it. Yeah. Thank you, Sean.
I move to amend the current motion to change the kindergarten and first grade fee at Remington Elementary to $5 and the second through fifth grade fee at Remington Elementary to $10.
Second.
Can I have a vote for the amendment, please?
Butcher,
Aye.
Harold,
Aye.
Livia Wright,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion carries. And then a motion on the amended motion. A vote on the motion as amended. Next.
Butcher,
Aye.
Harold,
Aye.
Livia Wright,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion carries. I apologize. I've been watching the Walking Dead marathon until 2 or 3 in the morning these last 3 nights, and I can't make myself stop watching it. It's terrible. I feel like I'm the Walking Dead tonight. I apologize. So, all
That's
right,
more
we'll go on.
information than we really want.
I know. Okay, but I will be ready if there's a zombie apocalypse, let me tell you. All right, 7.05, reclassified job descriptions. A is facilities manager.
I move to approve the revised job description to the facilities manager position and the promotion of the assistant manager of facilities and ground supervisor to facilities manager.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Jack, do you want to just explain in 30 seconds what this is?
Yeah, to give you a Reader's Digest version, really what we're doing is aligning our leadership model that we have. We actually promoted our director, our previous manager to the director level, such that all of my direct reports are at the director's level because there's additional accountability and responsibilities at that level. And when we noticed really what we have done, we're trying to create some sort of career path too for people that actually will come into our department, especially in the facilities department. So what this does is basically align that. We did eliminate the ground supervisor's position and kind of incorporated that within the manager of facilities.
Okay, if there's no further comments, we will take a vote on that one.
Butcher,
Aye.
Harold,
Aye.
Livia Wright,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion carries. 7.05B, which is facilities systems specialist.
I move to approve the job description changes to the facility systems specialist position.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, a vote please.
Butcher,
Aye.
Harold,
Aye.
Livia Wright,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion carries. 7.06, action on policy review and revisions.
After review and discussion at the previous work session, I move to approve the 4 policies in item 7.06A.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, a vote please.
Butcher,
Aye.
Harold,
Aye.
Livia Wright,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion carries. 7.06B, which is district recommended policy revisions.
After review and discussion at the previous work session, I move to approve the 2 policies in item 7.06B.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, a vote please.
Butcher,
Aye.
Harold,
Aye.
Livia Wright,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion carries. And our last item is 7.07, approval of matters related to Schedule B personnel.
I move to approve the attached personnel changes as recommended by the administration.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, I will recuse myself since it's my wife we're voting on for the volleyball coach's job.
Which is over now, right?
Yeah, the season's over. The season's over, but that's okay. We'll get over it.
And this wasn't really a change in personnel. Kevin's wife has coached the volleyball team for many years now, well before he was on the board. But Schedule B positions have to technically come in front of us each time. So even though we didn't change coaches and she's just continuing a position she already had, we still have to go through the process of approving it, unlike some of the other positions in the district.
Okay, vote please.
Harold,
Aye.
Livia Wright,
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Actually, it was her last year. It works for me. I have to cook when she's coaching, so it's not good for her family.
Okay, and then the next item is 8.0 information items, which are student study trips and process improvement updates, which are just information for the board. So we will start off right away with our 9.0 discussion items, which is our 9.01 student body of representatives proposal.
After hearing about policy revisions and zombies, the students have decided to withdraw their proposal. So I told them that we would get to this agenda item at about 35 minutes in. We're 41 minutes in, so thank you. You guys are rolling. Liesl has a homecoming bonfire to get to, and Alex has a calculus assignment that he needs to get home and work on. So what I want to do is remind the board that last January, you directed me and the other chief officers, but especially me as the education officer, to develop a way for students to have a more active and representative voice here to the board. And so we began doing some research together, and the student council leaders and principals in the various high schools in the district identified 2 or sometimes 3 students. Those students came together. I helped facilitate a set of conversations about what could a student voice group look like. We originally called it the District Student Council, then the Council of Councils, then an acronym, it was LASER, but I don't remember what the acronym was for, before arriving at the Student Board of Representatives. And so in your packet, you have a set of bylaws that I'm skipping through, and you have a new policy. This policy, I want you to know this policy does not exist in the CASB sample policies, but it is compliant with the national policy framework that school boards use around the country, because other states have student councils or student boards of education pretty regularly. So these policies exist other places, and we composed ours based on some other things that we found. And this is the correct policy designation with the -R regulation that we administer at the chief officer level. And this is the drawing that you've seen before that explains how this student board of representatives would have representatives from each of the high schools. And as more high schools are added to the district in the future via charter approvals, via expansions or extensions or construction of new neighborhood schools, the groups around the edge of the circle will get larger, and we'll have more student voice and more diverse student voice. The bottom, a little bit hard perhaps to see in the audience, but the idea is that the students would come as a pair, just as tonight. I'll introduce Liesl and Alex in just a moment. Just as tonight we have 2 students representing 2 different high schools, they would come, they would actually sit where Mr. Ridgway and I are seated with Mr. Bay. They would get that angled table. We would move over, as we should, and the students would participate without voting and without going into executive session at our monthly work sessions and meetings. So that's the concept. You have a policy, a regulation, bylaws, and you have now 2 student leaders who can speak to their involvement and why this would be good to have student voice in the district. So I want to introduce Liesl Davies, who is from Falcon High School and will be departing as soon as this is done so she can get to the bonfire. And she will drive exactly under the speed limit all the way there. Well, her mom will. There you go, safety first. And Alex Ochi from Sand Creek High School. And it is just coincidental, but I think it speaks to the quality of our staff, that these are both children of staff members in District 49, which was not intentional. I asked several students to come tonight, and these are the two that agreed to do it. So Alex and Lisa, will you step up, got to kiss the microphone, and explain why you think this is worth doing?
All right, so as Mr. Heltz just said, I'm Liesl Davies. I'm from Falcon High School. So I think the SBOR, as we call it, Student Board of Representatives, is a really great idea because sometimes I think the connection between students and the Board of Education is kind of lost in translation. And maybe you vote on motions and you're not, like, the opinion of the students is different from your guys' opinions. And I think it would be really important to have student voices, you know, saying, oh, you know, maybe this isn't a good idea, maybe this is, that sort of thing. Just kind of bringing in a new perspective. And I think that's always a really good idea when making really important decisions like this. I think it'll help you guys make more informed decisions, you know, at least consider what other people are thinking, students specifically. I think I just think it's a really great idea. It'll be 2 new students every month, so it won't be like one high school being overrepresented or something like that. So it'll be a constant new stream of ideas since there will be new high schoolers every meeting. And I just think that the communication would improve vastly, and I just think this is a really great idea for you guys to approve. Thank you.
Hello, once again, I'm Alex Oki from Sand Creek High School, and I am in favor of the Student Board of Representatives because a lot of times the students at many schools, I'm speaking personally from Sand Creek because that's what I know, but we have students all over, we have social media trying to contact the district, and none of that gets acknowledged, but it doesn't get changed. And I think that if we have students on the Board of Representatives bring formal problems that have happened with the school and formal just ways to fix them, that we could maybe address what the students have in mind, and maybe with their with the insight of students, we can help give you guys a better idea of what's going on in our minds and how it is at the schools, as opposed to just how overseeing it goes. Thank you. Thank you.
So you can see the quality of the thought, and I think Alex and Lisa will represent the group of students. It's actually been about 20 students that have been part of this development. Even though it would look like it should be 18, it's actually been, there were some students that were part of it last year, but who graduated, and new students have come on. And so we've already seen this group acting like a board, which has been really gratifying for me. Mr. Moore, I know you worked, or you attended a session at last year's December CASB conference where you saw the value of a student advisory board in another district, and that really sparked our thinking. So I want to thank you as a board and the support of the chief officers, and especially the principals and student council advisors, because we needed the time that it's taken to get the idea together and to get the student representatives together. And I'm confident that when they sit with you, they will demonstrate the wisdom of your desire to bring them into this conversation, because they're going to have a lot of good things to offer. Do you have any questions for the students?
I just wanted to say thank you to both of you for being willing to participate in this and take on. And I had the opportunity to work with Liesl during an interview process last year, and the insight and perspective you provided to all of the other people in the room to help inform our decisions, and your viewpoint was really valuable. So I look forward to having your voice and the voice of Alex and other students at the high school here to help us as well. Thank you so much.
I'm really excited to hear your perspective too. I think you'll bring a fresh set of eyes to the board meetings, and thank you much. Thank your peers. Looking forward to it.
So I think we are going to move this to a discussion at the October 21st work session. And we'll talk about it a little more. I've read through all the bylaws and stuff, and I don't have any concerns or question about it. And then I think at the November meeting, we'll take action on it. So we look forward to seeing somebody here in December. So thank you guys so
That is the
much.
plan. Thank you very much. And it is homecoming. Sand Creek is going to Falcon for homecoming tomorrow night. So go winner. That's what we say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, 9.02 is our Sand Creek Zone Performance Report with Mr. Dorsey.
Sean Dorsey, Sand Creek Zone. Thank you, board, for having me tonight to present a little bit of a performance update regarding the zone. And there's the title page. So one of the simple things that we start with regard to data and a very simple metric is to really look at average daily attendance. And this is one of those numbers that principals look at throughout the year. Our target being for the year 95%. And as you can see there currently, red bar, we have 3 of our 5 schools meeting that 95% target. We have a couple of schools that are just under that. Sand Creek High School at 93.24 currently regarding average. As a low growth zone, one of the things that's really important to our schools is students choicing in from other districts. As you can see there, the blue bars, first of all, are schools, other schools in D49. Evans Elementary currently from other districts has, I believe it is 35 students choicing in from other school districts. Horizon 33. Remington has 12 students choicing in. Sand Creek has 94 students and Springs Ranch has 13. Our schools no doubt enjoy a couple of things. One, we have a couple of schools that are very close to borders of neighboring school districts. Colorado Springs School District 11 being one of them. And also we have the capacity to take on choice students that other schools in our district don't necessarily have. But very encouraging data nonetheless.
Sean,
Yes.
just curious, that graph confused me. Why does, like, Horizon has 2 bars?
It doesn't, they're divided.
Are those different?
The red
The group-
ones are Sand Creek zone schools. And then the
others
blue
are?
ones are other schools in District 49.
Okay,
I took out the name.
okay.
Okay.
So, because
Unnamed to protect
Sand
everyone.
Creek is only pulling out of one other school in our district. Those are
No,
out of
those are out of district students.
Okay,
that are
so one
currently
other high
choiced
school, okay.
into-
That bar graph just confused me.
So is there a ratio between those who have choiced into our district as opposed to those who have choiced out?
I don't have good choice out numbers at this point in time. I think we will get better choice out numbers after October count is all finalized through the state, et cetera. Okay. Any other questions regarding that confusing graphic? We can go back. Also, what's important to us is we look at students that are enrolled in upper level classes. Currently, we have 213 students taking 1 or more AP classes at Sand Creek High School first semester for 345 total enrollments. To further explain that, we obviously have students that are enrolled in more than one AP course. That's where you get the 345. However, a little bit of data around advanced placement. Over the last 5 years, our data at Sand Creek campus has been fairly flat with regard to students scoring a 3 or above. We've been hovering around that 40% of our exam scores being a 3 or above, which are then subject to getting college credit. We've been involved in the Colorado Legacy Grant, which for the last 3 years, which really is about increasing enrollment in AP and also increasing students' opportunities to be successful in the tests, Saturday tutoring sessions, incentivizing students doing well on the test. And I think it's important to show data that's not necessarily what we're proud of right now. And so we want to do better by our students. And so just wanting to show you that kind of our scores there remain flat.
They're kind of going up though, aren't they?
Well, we're the blue bar, Sand Creek High School.
Right.
We lag
Right.
Colorado and the nation.
Right, but it seems like maybe my eyes is not that good. You may be
Trend
like,
is slightly up.
yeah,
Trend is
that's what I'm
slightly
talking about. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah,
Slightly
so,
up,
okay.
IB classes, we have a total of 238 students taking at least one IB class right now. We have 38 full DP IB candidates, which is a high for Sand Creek High School. And for students taking IB DP exams, last year we had about 60% scoring 4 or above on the DP exam, okay, which is kind of analogous to a 3 or above on AP. ACT is going to be a push for us in our zone like other zones. We're excited to take on that challenge. You can kind of see peaks and valleys, okay, a little bit in our AP composite scores over the last few years. With last year, we had a composite average of an 18.4. We really are targeting 20 or above this spring, 21 or above the following spring, and 22 and beyond with the 18. We've been doing tutoring in our tutoring center and test prep. We are starting March to Success through the U.S. Army. It's an online ACT prep program. Going to do that weekly with sophomores and juniors. I'm pretty excited about that after fall break. Dibbles data, K3. The bar graphs on the left-hand side for each school are last year's data, okay? Focus on beginning of the year 15-16 data. We have currently at Remington Elementary, we started the school year with 58% of students on. Also at Evans Elementary, 58% of students. .75% on benchmark. So what we've done solution-wise to make sure that our students grow in literacy, really we've adopted new core materials at Remington and Evans. We've redoubled our efforts with regard to progress monitoring, burst groups, Sunday, good interventions for our students. And we've done a lot of instructional walkthroughs that are focused on good quality observations. One of the things in our zone that we focus on is the observation feedback cycle. And really that's our means of supporting teachers in continuously improving their craft. Each teacher in our zone, and actually that data is not up to date as of today. We have 681 on the slide. But each one of our teachers on average has had already 3 observations and feedback set zone. Our goal by the end of the year is to have 12 observations and feedback sessions for each teacher, and really excited about the year-over-year increase in observations that we've had in our zone. Another area in which we've wanted to improve, and I want to thank Ms. Vale, our district GT coordinator, in providing our elementaries opportunities to better identify gifted and talented learners. We've struggled with that in the past and been under-identified. Through her efforts and the efforts at the school level, you'll see a nice year-over-year increase at the elementary levels. Evans going from 3 identified last year to 10. Remington going from 13 to 17. And Springs Ranch going from 19 to 28. A couple of fun things to kind of wrap up. One of our zone goals is engaging the community purposefully. We held our first ever math night on September 15th at each one of us. We had 206 parents show up for that. They got really nice demonstrations around Engage New York. Also websites and games and apps that they can access at home to support. That was 100% planned by teachers. In the Innovations Institute, that's the 6th grade program that we started this year at Horizon Middle School. Very project-based, kind of outdoor education run by Stacy Gelling and Courtney Hutchinson. So 47 students enrolled. It's always good when no one has left the program. So that's a nice feeling. We've had 13 parent volunteers thus far this year, really engaged in Project Fridays. That also is a one-to-one program where each student has a computer, okay, and access to technology on a daily basis. And you kind of see some of the fun things and good things that parents and students are. And really that kind of wraps, I'm not going to go over these. These are just materials in your packet. Each one of our schools does a plan on a page aligned with our 3 actions and then measurables and metrics underneath and how they support that.
You know, what I like is, you know, recognizing where you are and working toward improving. You know, as slight as it is, you know, it's still improving, you know, and solutions to problems is what you're showing me. You're doing things to further, especially with SATs and identifying gifted and talented. I mean, those are things to be proud of. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Well, and I appreciate that. And I do want to say, you know, regarding some of the data that I showed that was maybe flat or trending slightly upward, that's our teachers are working hard and they're invested in kids and they're working hard every day. They're there before school, after school, working with students. And we have tons of opportunities and plans to further support our teachers and hence our students in getting better. And that's really what I wanted you to see tonight.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
I love all the data. It's great.
You got it.
All right, next up is 9.03 communications performance update.
So last time I was here, Tammy was laughing because she felt like I was at doing weather up here. So we'll just get that out of the way tonight. You can get your laughter out of the way. Like everyone else has been giving you updates, ours is very data driven. I'm Matt Meister, the Director of Communications. And I didn't want to go through all of the data that I had presented you, but we are constantly analyzing how we are communicating with our community and how we are spending district resources to do that. So I wanted to ask you guys if you had any questions about any of that data that I presented. It included an overview of the website. Oh, by the way, we listen to the community just like the fennec fox, which you see there, that has very large ears. Actually, not to listen, it's to dissipate heat. Sometimes we feel like that can be one of our jobs, but one of the things we do is get the word out. And you see that that's kind of Kayla there, yelling the message out in the background. And you can see that sometimes folks, might not feel like listening. That's one of the challenges we have, is breaking through the noise that we're all bombarded with every day. And our technique that we use is to show, not tell. We try to go into the classrooms and outside of the classrooms and just share what we observe, and then let our community make the decision that we're doing amazing things. So you can see that we think we're usually pretty effective at that. You always have a couple folks that are straggling, and some of our tools and the way that communication is changing nowadays is making that more and more difficult. And that's one of the things that I wanted to highlight for you guys tonight, if you don't have any questions on the data that I put in the packet for you. No? Okay, so website numbers are up year to year, so I'll blow through that data. I did want to point this out to you, that our percentage of users that are coming into the website via a smaller device, either a mobile device or a tablet, is running about 40%. It's up a little bit over last year. I wanted to applaud you for making the decision to go to a responsive design website. It is serving all of the devices that we have across the district well in the classrooms, and for our parents as well. Live chat, we continue to roll out to schools now. It's not just my team that is doing this. So we have 2 schools. Falcon Middle was our initial pilot. They've had good success at it. And Spring Studio for Academic Excellence started 2 weeks ago. We think that makes a lot of sense for that school that's online and blended learning based learning location. And they're having good response with that in the first couple weeks. So we'll continue to monitor that information. This is all in your packet, of course. We made a recent change on the website in the live chat functionality. We are now creating some little graphics to help kind of be a billboard, if you will, for different things across the district. So this was the first one that we did for the Boo to the Flu flu clinics that are going on across the district this week. We're in the process of changing it to fall break, letting folks know, some of our first time families that may not be familiar with our calendar yet, that we have that for the next couple of weeks. So we'll use that as an opportunity to do some additional marketing to our community. The schools have different things. So when you go to Falcon Middle, it says, hey, Firebird Nation. And you go to Spring Studio, it says, hey, we're down here, that sort of thing. I did want to talk to you about our email program that we use. It's very sophisticated. Over the last 3 months, we've sent just over 400,000 emails. Our overall open rate is running a little over 20%. And when you send a large amount of emails like that, it's pretty darn good. Our click rate fluctuates a little bit. I'd like to see it closer to 10%, but in the industry, 7% isn't that bad. And it just depends on what the message is. So for example, we've started a new way of delivering the important work being done here at the governing level. And I wanted to give you guys the open results of the first few. So it's been declining. So, right. But when you look at that, we're sending out approximately 40,000 of these. Even with the last one where there were just under 6,000 that were opened and engaged with, you know, we didn't do this last year. And so there are, on a low end, 6,000 more people that are aware of what's happening in here and how the district is being governed versus what we did last year. Another kind of cross section of some emails that we have sent out. The Boo to the Flu one that went to 35,000 people. I had about a 20% open rate. So that was a combination of staff and families. We had a real targeted one that went to the Falcon Zone. That was about a story that we had done. And so we're trying to be real, you know, kind of drilled in that when you get something from us, it's something that's relevant to you. That one had a higher open rate versus a more general message. It was about 40%. And then we sent one to staff about Falcon Education Foundation mini grants. So the opportunity to get free money for the classroom and innovative ideas and programs that they want to do, that had a 70% open rate. So it just shows, depending on who the audience is and what the message is, you have different levels of effectiveness. And every email that we send out, we are analyzing and trying to replicate the successes that we're having with that system. I did want to talk about Facebook a little bit. Facebook is always going to be free for individuals to have an account. So my Matt Meister account that I, you know, use to follow what my brothers are doing and that sort of thing is always going to be free. But since Facebook has become a public company and need to demonstrate revenue streams, they're starting to change their model for organizations such as local news gathering outfits or an organization like ours. And over the last 6 months, as we look at the reach that we have with people that have chosen to like our page, which is just under about 10,000, the amount of reach that we're getting on a post is running between 10 and 20%. And we're having now to pay for some of that reach. So if we don't pay to show people that say, hey, I like District 49, we get about 10% reach. And so as a communications vehicle, we're going to take a close look at that over the next 6 months and evaluate not only the cost effectiveness, given Facebook's changing model, but also how we're posting to social media. Do we need to maybe make it different than what we're doing now? Maybe making the headlines and the pictures or visuals that we're presenting a little different to try to increase some of that engagement. We did have a really successful post last week from the homecoming pep rally at Sand Creek, where some of the students with special needs were included in that as part of the cheerleading program. And with that, we saw the effectiveness of social media. I mean, that thing was shared and you saw the exponential math. And so we had, you know, a lot higher reach with that post than we do with our typical ones. So we're just looking at that and continuing to work on, as the landscape of social media changes, how we're communicating with our community. I always like to give you guys a look at what we're doing story count wise. We've made a big push this year to let people know about the process we have in place to let us know about the amazing things we should come cover. That's d49.org/complan. If you're not aware of that, d49.org/complan. So one of the things we do is we try to balance our coverage. And so when we have schools or zones where we haven't gotten as many comp plans, we do things called Find a Story Tuesday or Find a Story Thursday. And my crew and I just go out to schools where we need to do some coverage, and we go in there. And the awesome thing is we find amazing things every time, because there is amazing things happening in our classrooms each and every day. And some of our most unique stories have come from that. So this was as of October 1st. And you can see that we're pretty balanced there. Historically, we've always lagged behind in the iConnect zone a little bit. And that's where we currently are right now. And if you look at a school by school breakdown within zones, it tends to be more secondary weighted because of the number of students at those schools, and the number of programs are greater than the elementary schools. But for a first quarter of the year, I'm pretty happy with the breakdown of where we are right now. And our story coverage is up a little bit over last year. We have more, we've brought in some more technological resources to go get visuals. Kayla's really been working hard on her photography capabilities and writing stories. And so we have four full-time storytellers on the communications department staff now. So I wanted to applaud my team for all the work they've been doing to support those efforts. We also take a look at earned media. And so this is our large media in the area. And as of today, actually, we've had 2 good stories that were on the Gazette and local television this week. We're running about 16 positive stories for what I would categorize as neutral stories. So if you look at someone reading this, do they have a favorable or unfavorable sort of perception of our brand and of District 49, kind of how I weight those. And 4 negative stories, 3 of those occurred on one day due to an incident that we had at one of our schools. We should have another positive story on KKTV tomorrow morning. So we're always looking at those. And we always put all of the stories that District 49 or one of our schools is in on d49.org/d49 in the news. And lastly, I want to make you guys aware of at d49.org/map, we've made a big push to change how people see what schools they're zoned for. We weren't serving our community as good as we would like to. And so I invite you guys to go there. There's actually a lot more information there than just finding out what the feeder system of schools is. There's demographic data. There is all kinds of data there. So I invite you to go there, check that out. And since I'm out of time, I'll ask if you have any questions. But you can go to d49.org/map after you watch your shows.
You don't want to show your last slide? About the weather.
Oh, okay. So since there's been no weather lately, we're also going to use this tool, which is a GIS mapping tool that we've done here to find out where you're zoned for. We're also going to use this for a weather application. We're going to get pictures from staff members and from our staff that are out taking care of our facilities, driving around, doing analysis at night, and share those temporally and spatially on a map so that people can be involved in the process that we go through to determine if a snowstorm warrants a 2-hour delay or a closure. I also like showing it on a map because I think some of our community that lives in Power Zone or Sand Creek Zone in the city limits of Colorado Springs don't necessarily understand how far north and east Falcon Zone can go. And obviously there can be a huge range of weather conditions from the north to south end of the district. So I'm hopeful that this tool will allow us to share the difficulty of that process of determining when we have weather delays. So that's part of what we're always trying to get better like everybody else. And those are some of the things we've been working on. Okay, thanks.
Great job, man.
Okay. Anybody else have anything? Then our last item is our 10.0 is other business, and that is an executive session. And during our executive session, we do not make any decision, but this executive session is one where we are going to be doing an evaluation for Jack Bay, our Chief Operations Officer. So that is not open to the public to do his performance review. So what we do now is we will have a motion to go into executive session, and then we will take about a 15-minute break, because if I say 10, we always do 15 anyway. So we will, during that 15 minutes, everybody can chat, but then when that's done, everybody has to be out of the room, and then we will start our executive session. So that's what the next part of the meeting is. So can I have a motion, please?
I move to go into executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 24-6-402 4FI for discussion of performance of a specific staff member with prior written notification for Chief Operations Officer evaluation and review.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yeah, just for the people in the audience, we started doing a 360 review of our executive officers last year. This is the second year we've done it. 360 means they're reviewed by their direct reports, their peers, and their bosses, which is this motley crew. And it is just to develop better leadership and better governance in the district. So it's a good thing we're doing here. And I think we're seeing the results. Hopefully you're seeing it in the schools too. Thank you.
A vote.
Butcher.
Aye.
Harold.
Aye.
Livia Wright.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That's it?
Yes.